everyone. I am here as Poet Holiday with two L's to be exact. And this is going to be my first little YouTube video. Okay? Look, first off, you're not going to see my face. I'm sorry. The internet is kind of crazy. Okay. Um, so mostly this episode is going to be mostly just about me, okay? And if you hear the background of any like noise, I am not cutting off my mini fan, okay? It's blistering out here. My allergies are already killing me. I am not going to just disrespect myself like that, okay? Anyways, let's move on. First, we're going to start off with why I created this channel. And in order to answer that question, we have to go into my history with poetry. Okay, so first off, I have started off writing poetry in like the 7th grade, I believe. Anyways, middle school. And that's where my love really came from. It was a good way to express myself. And I just loved it. And I didn't realize how much that is a part of like literature. I was thinking like literature is this whole like writing essays and things like that. I enjoy writing essays, but poetry is just in its own realm in a sense. Because like poetry can pretty much go into any and every category. Like it can go into art because it is a form of art. Um, it can be an essay. It can be a script, having incorporating poetry, and I just believe that poetry, honestly, is my life. Okay. I know it's kind of niche, but at the same time, in my opinion, it's not niche because that's just me and my whole life centers around poetry. And disclaimer, you, we will be talking about like a little bit of politics, not too much, but like in relation to poetry for the most part, because I am a poli sci major and an English minor, so it kind of like goes hand in hand with me personally. But and then I think I kind of lost my fizz in high school, like 9th grade specifically, and then it was brought back, I think 10th or 11th grade by another teacher who was just like showed us different forms of writing and art forms and different like mixed media specifically. Okay, um, of like uh, surrounding like black pain and just like the history of blackness. So it was very interesting for me to see poetry again and like getting to writing because we had these free writes in the beginning of class, and honestly monumental. I have like so many poems just because of that class, because we had so many like things that we could just we could write about anything. It could be an essay, well, within the 10-minute span, I believe. Anyways, um, I can't write that fast. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not the Flash. But sorry. Look, my allergies are kicking my behind. I already told you in the very beginning. Okay, okay. But where was I at? This is like a ranty channel, so hear me out. I'm so sorry if you had to deal with me like doing and pausing and stuff like that. But anyways, but yeah, I really enjoyed the free writes and stuff like that, and I think poetry pretty much continued, and I was in a lot of like creative electives, so audio, video, tech, and film, just a little bit, a little dibble and dabble, theater, which was fun for me. I even wrote a script at some point. Listen, it wasn't that good, but it was hitting at the time, and that's all that matters. Okay, um, and it was a team effort too. It was fun. And what else was I in? Arts. So, I have a pretty creative like background. I can even get into more of like my creativity before that, but we're trying to center around poetry. So then after I graduated high school, I went into college, And then for college, I kind of like forgot about poetry briefly, but like I got back into it like the I think it was like the second semester of my first year of college, I believe. It's not too I'm acting like I was in college like years and years ago. I've recently graduated college. Anyways. But that's neither here nor there, babes. Neither here nor there, okay? But yeah, and I had taken I think two poetry courses, and the first one was fun. Well, both of them were fun in my opinion. But that first one, I was exposed to this event that's called 100,000 Poets for Change, which honestly any poet can sign up for, and you can be in person or on Zoom, you know that thing. And honestly, it's really fun. I go there pretty much I do it every year, whether I'm there or not there, you know what I mean? But I highly recommend the 100,000 Poets for Change, okay? But yeah, and then I signed up for that, and I was able to do that, and it was really fun. And I really like the event because it helps you get in touch with reading your poetry, even though I didn't have a problem with reading my poetry because of that history of theater. Because I even took theater like 1 year of middle school. So, like, yeah, I love theater. I love public speaking for the most part, if I know what I'm talking about. But honestly, love that for me. But yeah, it's definitely a good way for people who haven't really read their poetry to read it. And I didn't realize a lot of people didn't read their poetry out loud like that or do a performance when they're reading their poetry, because I started to realize that in my poetry courses, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of crazy. I thought we were all like, you know, doing the most. Okay. Some people call me dramatic. My mother. But like, I don't know. I feel like with certain poems and stuff like that, you just gotta put your all on the line. Like really just express it. Like why not? Like maybe boy. Let me stop. Cause like poetry, there's different like avenues. There's different genres, just like any other art form. Like art, different genres of art, contemporary, and I ain't really go too far in the whole uh, art thing. Like I can draw, but I've honestly lost touch with that. We don't talk about Brune. No, 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 no. Anyways, let's get back on track. Okay. So that's a little spiel about me. Oh, and I was also in the poetry club. Of course I was. Okay, I was in other clubs, but let's talk about the poetry club because poetry channel. Okay, and I highly do recommend. Okay, and it was really fun. We got to have themes and like 10 minutes of writing, and then we got to read our writing to each other if you wanted to. But I really do think it's important to just like every now and again go with some people, have like a free write basically. Like you can have a theme, but honestly, sometimes I didn't even go with the theme. I went with whatever I wanted to go through, or fixing another poem. But it was just nice to write with fellow writers. Like, and don't be discouraged with the whole saying like writers, poets, or whatever, because regardless of what you're writing, you are a writer or a poet if you're writing poetry or whatever. But like at the end of the day, there's no standard in my opinion. Okay, anybody can write. Okay, that's just me. That's just me. Like, you know. But now, what do I want to? I have a little whiteboard that I'm kind of like. I have like low key bullet points. Like, don't hear me out. The bullet points ain't bullet points. I have like one, two, three, four, five, like 5 or 6 points that I wanted to make or whatever. Okay, let's semi talk about the trajectory of this channel. Basically, what I'm going to be doing here and what I want to do towards the future. Okay, so what I'm thinking of doing is having this little background and like just ranting for the most part, and I will have like a little quote unquote segment that is not talking about poetry. It could talk about poetry or whatever, but for the most part, it is just something that I'm like my interest or whatever. Cause like I have 3DS games, so like at some point I do want to record like some like snippets of like either I'm playing cards because I love cards and stuff like that. Uh, like when I mean I love cards, I love cards. Like at some point I might have to show you all my cards. You see in this visual, the Wednesday card game. I didn't even know that was a thing until like I don't know what happened for me to find it. You know what? I typed in like playing cards or something like that into Google, and that popped up at some point, and I was like, "Give it to me!" Because I actually have like the first season of Wednesday, the DVD, because I've gone into like physical media and stuff like that. Anyways, here, neither here nor there, but I'm very passionate about cards. Like, you can ask any of my friends in a heartbeat. They know every single time that I hang out with them, or like just in general, I have one card game in my bag. Like, stop playing games with me. I'm always prepared, okay? Stay ready. You ain't gotta be ready, okay? But, what was I saying? But, oh yeah, 3DS games. Look, disclaimer on 3DS games. When I mean 3DS games, I mean Pokemon. That's the only game that I really play on 3DS. I'm not even gonna hold you. That's it. I do want to get these two games that are like, I think they're Monster High. Yeah, Monster High. I do love me some Monster High. I have literally every DVD of Monster High. Gen 1. Don't play with me. Don't play with me on that Gen 2, Gen 3. It's not giving. Get that away from me. I hate live action and I hate any sort of like I love change, but you should have just started something entirely different. Anyways, let's not even talk too much about that anymore. But yeah, I'll just be chatting it up. You know, mostly I'll try to do around poetry, but I might like spur into like different things. I want to do have like a professional like segment kind of ordeal, but it might not be. I'm gonna just rant until I can't rant no more, and then that's when the video ends. Okay, the podcast ends. Okay, this is more like a podcast rather than anything else because, um, oh yeah, in the beginning I did say like, yeah, I'm not showing my face because like the internet is kind of crazy. Like even if you drop a few things, people can really track you down, and it's just like, this is where, this is where we've come in society. Like, okay, right, you can't even drop too much lore because can't find you. It's like, oh, you live at da 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 da. Okay, great. Thank you for doxing me. My family, my neighbors, everybody. Like, it's E for everybody, huh? For what? For what? Anyways, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother thing. Okay, so I went into my history with poetry. Um, I already said that I'm a poli sci major, English minor. I'm going through my bullet points. If you don't know, you know, trajectory of the channel. Did I? Oh, and I also want to like, just discuss like in well, okay, this is a personal project, but I would like to make my own card game so that you know, I just had this eureka moment one time. I was like, wait, I play cards so much. Is there a way for me to like design the cards and then send it out to somebody to like actually make the cards? And yes, there is. You know, this day and age. Oh, love technology, love the creativeness of everybody out there. Because of things like this, you know what I mean? Anyways, um, but yeah, I would love to make my own card game because like Wednesday, that card game really inspired me because it's uniquely Wednesday. It's not just Wednesday thrown on the cards. It's like actually its own like realm of cards. Anyways, and oh, why I wanted to start this channel. Okay, let's get into that. It's gonna be brief, anyways. But I wanted to start this channel because I didn't see any poetry channels like that. Like, no poetry in my life. Daily life in a poet as a poet. Um, None of that. I saw like maybe like an open like a slam poetry channel or whatever, and I enjoy those, of course, but it's just like there are no poet YouTubers out there. Maybe I need to do some more research and try and see. But like when I did, I was just like, this is despicable. Like, and that's when I realized like maybe poetry is niche because poetry is like a big part of my life. And to see that like there's nobody on here doing that, what? Because I want to see somebody like talking about their journey and like publishing their works. And I, I don't know, like, what do you do to like stay inspired or whatever? Like, I don't know, like something poetry related because, like I told you, like poetry is a decent chunk of my life. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, I just found it really like really like out of all the different channels that are out there, family channels, channels about eating food. Okay, I like the cooking channels. They're kind of cool. Baking specifically, but yeah, it's just like what? Like there's BookTube. Okay, don't get me wrong. I do be watching BookTube. Can't get me off of there. Well, you can, cause like I mostly watch it when I'm actually like in my reading, like I'm feeling like reading or whatever. But what else? Oh, and I do want to do like book reviews. Not like book reviews. Like, it depends, cause I don't really read that many books. So like, if it's a book review, it's like a blue moon at that point. But like, I have two poetry books that I've actually read through and through. So like, I'll be doing that at some point. And like maybe walking with you through, well, you walking with me through my thought processes of poetry. Hold on, I'm gonna blow my nose real quick. Sorry, TMI. Okay, I'm back. I just paused the video. I meant the recording. But anyways, oh, feel a little bit better. Hell no. No, because sometimes it just doesn't work. Anyways, what was I even talking about? But yeah, I am very interested in like poetry, and I don't know how this channel is gonna go. It might not even like be based off of poetry, but I'm gonna try my best to like incorporate poetry into what I'm like ranting about or whatever. Cause the sole reason why I really wanted to start this poetry channel, cause I wanted to ask. Like some people have been in my life being like, you really should start a channel. Some people, one person in my family, maybe like my best friend told me to like start a podcast. Maybe it's because I sent so many voice messages on Instagram. Look, honestly, I breathe voice messages. Like, honestly, they shouldn't have did that. Because the way I just be throwing them out there, like, wow, 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 one after the other. Okay, okay. Now we're actually gonna go into one of my poems, and then I'm gonna break down what it means, my inspiration, and stuff like that. But I'll be reading. Oh, before I even talk about that, I will be reading from like my little poetry notebook. Cause like I at one point decided that I wanted to write all my poetry down from the very beginning of writing poetry, which the ones I could find from middle school until now, and of course, continue like toward the future. Cause I want to have I want to have access to my poetry anywhere I am. Of course, like it's on my phone, but like still. But I also wanted to have poetry for like my, because I do want to have kids in the future. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what comes of that. But like, if I do, I want to read them my poetry. So, you know, there you go on me. You know what I mean? But anyways, let's start off with this poem. Okay. People of color. What are these people that seem so different from white that you must ignite the differentiation between the bright and hues? Bring out the blues. What news did they bring for the string that falls over the brink of extinct suffering? Where has this color come from when you think we can be lost in the feed like a shadow that's indistinct? What's the difference between people of color and the good old colored people? It's so archaic to relate us to the enslaved like they didn't fight for God's sake. You can't wash away the pain when they've no grave to relay. This infliction of contradiction you seem so adamant to parade. Berate thee like a slave again, and you will be afflicted with conviction of a harness whip like an addiction. And who knows? Who am I to impose the dose of woes you needed? And all we've done was stampeded. Okay, I'm gonna give myself some sniffs. Okay, my allergies are killing me right now. I'm sorry. I've been having to cut through. Pause. Okay. But anyways, it is a work of art. But this poem, I was actually at one of the religion, what is it? Their final presentation, their senior final presentations, and they accepted anyone to come and stuff like that. I really went for the snacks, but and I was like, oh, that was very interesting of like what they were talking about. But yeah, I don't know why I was inspired to write this, but that was like where I got inspired, and then like immediately I was like typing, and then like I had went to like a different room after like it was over, and just like finished writing it same day, excuse me. And I was just like, this is a powerful poem. Basically, um you know what? It was, I probably heard the term people of color in that thing, cuz like I don't I do know what it is. Like it just irritates me so much to hear this new phrase everyone loves to like throw around, and like I can like, oh yeah, this is a better term than minorities. This is a better term than all the other terms. Look, I'm tired of it. Like stop trying to categorize blackness in general. Like I'm tired of you pushing on your labels. Okay, I don't want to be like that, but I just feel like that because I don't like the term African American, because if I was born and raised for my family was born and raised here for generations on generations on generations. Like, come on now. Um, Knock off the African. I'm American. I have never stepped foot in Africa. Like, what do you mean? And I'm not trying to be disrespectful either, because it just doesn't make sense to have people who have never stepped foot in Africa say African American. And then, like, that's okay. Let me go into my spiel. Because this was actually, like, the topic of my senior final presentation. But, yeah, it's just like, that's the same thing as, like, a white American, right? Or a Caucasian American who their lineage goes back, their ancestral line goes to Europe. We'll call them European Americans. You know what I mean? So, like, why are you calling us African Americans just because our ancestral line starts in Africa? Or, come on now, we're descendants of the enslaved Africans. I get to put, you know, some respect on the people who were taken away, from their continent, because we don't even know where specifically they were in Africa. Like, go on now. Like, it's just getting ridiculous, in my opinion. It's like, why? Why? And like the term specifically, people of color, it's so annoying because it just reminds me of the good, like I said, and the good old colored people. You know, I just, it annoys me so, like, to my core of this term, because it's just like a reduced, reused, and recycled colored people. Even though it's spelled differently, because I think they spelled it with like a OUR. I don't know. But yeah, it just, I don't vibe with it. And that poem sparked like a whole collection of poems about like kind of that. Because like I have a poem called, oh, let me find it. Oh, Hunted for Sport. One, the title is. Another one, African American. I'm Black. I think that's the last one out of that batch. But yeah, I don't know if I'll read the other ones, but yeah, I wanted to start off with something that was a poet of mine that was kind of like, I guess, controversial, slash political. Because why not kick out anybody who doesn't like that type of poetry? You know what I mean? But you can stay, because I know, like, when I don't necessarily like a poem, sometimes I can find a way to still appreciate it, like the words that they use and things like that. Because, like, I literally have a poem from, like, inspired by my classmates' poetry. Like, I had, like, started writing different words that were used that I was like, oh, these are good. And then, like, I was able to put them all together and make a I think, cohesive cohesive enough poem. And I love that poem. Like, it just has its own, like, it has its own, like, I don't know, its own ambiance, I would say. Let me stop. Is there anything else, any other poem I would like to discuss? I guess I can find a poem. Ooh, but that's political too. Like, okay, anyways. I love this poem though. Okay. Okay. Um Working class. Oh, among you who wish for your health to remain, but the pain that always came from a land that only thinks in the sequence of bills, drained from your screaming pills, scraped to fill every pore in need. A dream that is from the land I've been bred from to give me a breadcrumb. Where is my severance for my eternal presence? Oh, please, the shame! Who am I to seek what belongs to me? A joke for riches passed from one gin to another. Treated like the help when I've bled for the land that continues to beat every hour out of me like I am foreign to thee. And I know you might think this college age has yet to have bled, but babes, it hasn't happened yet. Okay, look, that one eats too. But yeah, if you don't know, it's about working class. And like, I don't know, as I've gotten older, become an adult, had to do adult things, it's just like, it feels like the system is set up for whoever is at the bottom to stay at the bottom. You know what I mean? Regardless of race, regardless of religion. The basis of this country, the USA anyways, is race and religion and all that other stuff. But, you know what I mean? But like, your po. You know what I mean? Even like your lower middle class, like, it's just like to keep you there. Like, there are so many people living from paycheck to paycheck with several different jobs. Like, it's just despicable the sheer state we are in, and like also about like why is food so much, you know what I mean? And the pay is not enough, like the pay isn't increasing with the tax increase, you know what I mean? So like you're taking more of my money, like how that work, how that work. Anyways, let me stop. But what else did I want to talk about? I don't even remember like why I decided to write about that. Maybe it was, excuse me. Okay. Maybe it was after like my internship or something, but I know there was like a whole like honestly a movement of people talking about how they're up to 2, 3 jobs, living paycheck to paycheck, and the hustle, the gig era we're in. It's honestly despicable. Oh, I do want to talk about one of the poems. Let me put on my laptop. This thing, honestly, on this last leg. I'm not gonna hold you. No, because like I'm scared for it. Cause like there was a few times where like I tilted like the screen and it went black. But we don't talk about Bruno. Anyways, so this poem is incomplete. I don't even know what I want to do with it, honestly, because it's inspired by, a lot of those. I guess they're TikToks because I'm not on TikTok. I'm on Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, but I've seen a lot of them on Instagram Reels where, don't get me wrong, I love a good joke. I love a good skits. But it's getting to the point where it's not inherently bad, but the undertones are bad. The way that what it can become can be bad. Of like, there's a lot of like showing, oh, you know, what if on the reverse end, like it wasn't black people who were, discriminating against, it was white people, and you know, and then having this word that just replacing the N with the W and still with the R, the hard R. I like to call it the hard R. And it's just like, that leaves a bad taste in my mouth, low key. Like, don't get me wrong, I was like, it's just so crazy. But I was also like, let's not do too much now, because at the end of the day, we don't want to continue the hate. The hate got us this way. like, come on now. Anyways, I'm sorry for saying like so much, but anyways, let me go ahead and get to the poem. Honestly, please let me know where this should go, cause I'm gonna read like where it was before, and then I'm gonna read the add-ons I had made. But anyways, stand up discrimination. It's all fun and games till another race is put in chains, fated to never see the light of day. But would that really happen? We joke, even rock the boat, but we never sink so low, letting the hate, fear inflame us so much that we whip and beat and mutilate till they scream, I can't breathe, then reap and sleep till morning deems it's time to repeat. Then I added on. I'll read it over again, like with the add-ons. But I don't know. Maybe I should just leave it like that. I don't know. Anyways, okay. Let me go through it again. Stand up discrimination. I've been known to highlight the wrongs that whiteness has brought, but we shouldn't let our anger consume us. It's all fun and games till another race is put in chains, fated to never see the light of day. But would that really happen? We joke, even rock the boat, but we never sink so low, letting the hate, fear inflame us so much that we'd whip and beat and mutilate till they scream, I can't breathe. Then reap and sleep till morning deems it's time to repeat. I say this plea as a warning of how powerful hate can be. Anyways, I don't know. Maybe I should make those little add-ons that I did like in the beginning and just like at the top or at the bottom somewhere like a little description or precursor or something. I don't know. Let me know. Let me know. Yeah, I don't know what I want to do with that poem. I it's up in the air, babe. It's up in the air. Anyways, okay, I'm sorry. um. Anyways, okay. Poetry forms. I wanted to talk about. Okay, I think these are the last three things I'm going to talk about, but I ramble. But poetry forms, inspiration, and editing. Okay. So poetry forms. I actually have a book right now. Let me actually go get that real quick. Okay, I got it. Okay, the Teachers and Writers Handbook of Poetic Forms. And does it say it was by? Oh, no. Published on the occasion. Edited by Ron Padgett. Ron, Ron, space Padgett. Sorry if that's not how you say it. Padgett. But I guess like it's the teachers were. I guess. Anyway, a culmination of people who helped with this. But anyways, yeah. I got this book because my professor wanted me to get it. 200 level. I think it was a 200. No, was it? No, I think it was a 300 level poetry course. Anyways, I don't know. Whatever level poetry course, and we needed this to like explore the different poetry forms. And honestly, I recommend you don't have to get the book. Okay, it's just a good like basically a dictionary that you have at your hand, like physically, so you can look through. But you can easily just like look up different forms or the list of all the different forms. But at first, I really hate being strictly by a form or whatever. But like, sometimes it's not so bad, I guess. Because like, I wrote a really good poem in my opinion. That was in like a very strict form. Oh yeah, it was called a sestina. I think it's French, and it was so hard because like that form is like very particular, and I was just like, yeah, no, I was tight making that poem, but I like it. It was very like a not me kind of poem, like not my regular average like poetry writing. Honestly, I like it because it made me explore different things, and like of course I'm gonna take some things and leave the other, but it does have a place because like usually I just write in free verse, just write however it comes to me, but like sometimes it's nice to play with form and then like sonnets and stuff. um oh yeah, and like forms, you can actually like just read poetry books or like on the web or whatever. Cause like Chlorine Sky, I was inspired by one of my poems of like her spacing to like I love it. She just has different ways of like spacing out her words on the line of poetry or in the stanzas and stuff like that. I love it. It really does bring a difference of like how it looks on the page, and that's what I was really inspired by like my last semester of college, that last poetry course of playing with how it looks on the page, because it's not just how you read it, it's also how other people interpret it as, like listening wise, but also like just reading your poetry and how it looks on the page. And like I've really been trying to do that. It's fun though. I'm not gonna hold you. Like at first I was like, but now like having pushed through the course and things like that, I really do enjoy it. I really do need to get back to like free writing and stuff like that's the one thing that I really do miss about like my first poetry course because that one had like we would have either a topic or a form or whatever and we'd have to do it in class within like whatever however many minutes she gave us. But yeah, I think that's like the best way for me writing poetry because like I think that's a consistent thing that's happened like with my me being in the poetry club. That's what we did and that's how I got inspiration for some poems. I told you in high school like that's how my teacher got us to do free writes and that's how I did like poems. And I really do feel like that's a good way of writing, especially when like you have other people with you writing poetry or essay or something, writing something. You know what I mean? But what else? And I guess it could work for like drawing and other different forms of art. But anyways, inspiration. I have inspiration pretty much everywhere. Oh, you know what? I do want to read like one of the. Should I even be reading all these different poems? Oh, of mine. Oh, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I should save some for later. Let me stop. um, it's because I was in this Black Horror Cinema course my last semester, and honestly, it was fun. Let me find it real quick. The poem I made, I forget which movie it was inspired by. I gotta see like what the title of the thing is. I'm just flipping through my thing of all my poems. Oh, yes. It was inspired by Night of the Living Dead. Specifically that hold on. Honestly, I'm just gonna read what I wrote because like a lot of my poems I'm trying to like actually write down what I was inspired by. Okay, so let me read it. We'll see how coherent it is, but yeah. After watching Night of the Living Dead for my Black Horror Cinema course, parentheses, I don't believe it's a horror, more like a comedy. Kind of crazy. Into the parentheses. What really stuck with me was the ending. The strong black man who became a leader, very intellectual, survived past the hordes of ghouls, parentheses, unlike the others in the makeshift group who died by the hands slash mouths of the undead, slash Judy and Tom by the car explosion, parentheses. Sorry if you haven't watched this, actually. Yeah, you should. You should, actually. Because it's very old. It's black and white. Come on now. Okay. I didn't watch it before this, so, like, I can't even say anything. Anyways, he survived all that when the all-white militia came, so unnecessarily, shot and killed him, even though you could clearly see that he was a black man holding a gun, alive. There was even a part where he was dead on the ground next to a militia's foot slash shoe. And honestly, it was really iconic. I say militia, but they were just police, maybe a sheriff, or, that was just the easiest way for me to explain it to myself at that point. But yeah, let me actually read a poem. I was about to like shut the book and like put it away. A morning of the Black Death. Been a moment death, fit for a king. A shot we raise, hooray! A shot to the head like the dead, or rather, the undead. Here lies Ben engulfed in flames, his ashen remains bear no grave. Lived through the abyss of carnal hate that sated on his friend's remains. A leader he was, deserving a Viking's ending. He's left, bitter, lingering as a ghost, wondering how things ended this way. Oh, oops, sorry. Oops. A slave to his very grave. My bad on that. I flipped the page and accidentally went to the other page instead. But yeah, like it ends off with like wondering how things ended this way, a slave to his very grave. Anyways, I really like it because it really just encapsulated how I felt about the last little bit, because it was like I thought he was going to die first, to be honest, because black people during that time period and stuff like that, they were always killed off early. Like even still to this day, like a lot of them still like kill off black people early, and I'm just like, come on now, like be so for real. And you telling me that she survived? No, no. If he wasn't there to protect her, they would have survived. Or that black person didn't give them that that knowledge. Please, please, don't do her. Well, don't do them. Anyways, what was I saying? But yeah, but that just was an example of like inspiration can really be from anywhere. Like we weren't even like writing anything related to like poetry or anything like that. I just wrote it up because I was really inspired, because I felt like it was like a visceral image. Like he really could have survived, but because he was black, he ended up having to go. And towards the very end, please, I just knew he was gonna survive by then. Like, you know what I mean? But yeah, you could get inspiration from film. Um, so film, actual, like, okay, everything is art, but physical art, digital art. Um, what else? Books. I don't know if I have gotten inspired by. Well, technically, when I was telling you about that poetry book and like the spacings and form, but like a book, not necessarily. But like now, when I've been reading, I've like write down like different like words that I like or phrases or stuff like that, because I can use that towards something in the future. That's what I've been doing for a while, ever since like that last uh poetry course, because I think like it's a really good thing, a really good strategy, because we tend to use, well, me anyways, I use the same few words, and it's just like, come on now, let's expand our vocabulary, you know what I mean? Because like there's so many different words that mean the same thing, but it adds that little bit of sauce, okay? A little bit of flavor, you know what I mean? But yeah, you can really get inspired by literally anything. A game, okay? Oh yeah, and I will be at some point doing a segment on games, because right now, me and Palia like this. Okay, you can't see me, but like, yeah, look, that's my right hand. Okay, right and left, because you need both hands to play. But anyways, it's neither here nor there. But oh yeah, and like Monster Prom, love that game. I love that game. Love that game. Love the visuals, everything. It eats. It eats. Okay. Okay. Now editing. I don't really do much of that. Hear me out. Hear me out. Don't persecute me. But like, I don't want to. I only do enough editing for like, I, which I need to do better with. Like I was saying earlier, of like getting into how it looks on the page. I don't really do it grammatically correct. Hear me out. I usually just write it down good enough for me to just like read, and the commas and spaces and different line breaks are because that's how I read it. But it's a work in progress. So like any recommendations on editing, I guess get somebody else to like look through it. Sometimes you can use friends, but like at the same time, will they sometimes some people don't really give you like the raw uncut. Like don't get me wrong, don't be you ain't gotta be rude, okay? And some people like to like switch it around to like change it into their voice, and it's just like no, that's not what I'm giving it to you for? Like, does it semi make sense? Because, like, at the end of the day, as long as it makes sense to you and that's how you wanted it to be perceived or to be listened to as or to be read as, But yeah, I guess it's like a fine line because sometimes it's like a poet's freedom of like how they want it to be read or looked at or be on the page. But yeah, I don't know. That's just a whole like, thought process, I guess. I'm new here. I don't even go here. You know what I mean? But what do I keep saying? You know what I mean? Whatevs, whatever. And I think that's maybe it. Okay, that might be the first episode. Hello, everybody. If you've been here for the entirety of my yap session, give yourself an applause. Okay. Claps. Claps for you because I can barely sit with myself. Especially with my like allergies. I am so sorry, but I cannot control that. So you know what I mean? But yeah, thank you for watching and well, listening. And I hope you come back for more. Okay, I will try to do weekly, but we shall see. um, yeah, do all that stuff that they be telling you to do, like share, subscribe. The little, the little things that'll help me in this world. Bye bye.